What's going on, Keith? Keith, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you can hear me. What's up, Eric? Sorry I'm doing it so late today, guys. Had an eventful morning. But we are here. We'll do this for about an hour. We'll go ahead and break down the national championship game. And we'll do a preview of NFL games for this week. If there's one in particular you guys would rather talk about, we can do a bigger, more of a deep dive into that one. That way we can still save some time for a free play and then just general questions. So let's give it a second, let people get filed in, and they're coming in pretty quick. We got 19 people in here now, only 6 likes, so we need to get that up. Let's get to 50 likes. We'll do a free premium play. I've already got the card completely broke down for the day. All games have been gone over. All of my rankings have been done. The only thing that I'm waiting on to make final decision is obviously some questions that I had involving a few players. One involving a practice report from yesterday. And as soon as I get that, I can go through and make the final decision as to whether or not the ones that I've got rated as premium plays, so on and so forth, make the cut, and then just hit save. I mean, I've even got them typed up, ready to go. So, I mean, I get why he wanted to go to the SEC. I get that. But to be honest with you, I don't think that he went to any better of a program than where he was at Washington State. I think that if he's looking for success, as far as recruiting and things like that, I think he should have stayed put before he made that jump. Mississippi State's going to have a hard time recruiting in the SEC for a while, unless they bag some recruits that are kind of diamonds in the rough, and they end up, pushing out a 10 or 11 win season. It's going to be hard for them to consistently try to get top 25 classes. What's up, Leon? Chad? Scott? Ooh. Oh, it's absolutely a lateral move if you think about the programs themselves, plus where the programs sit in their respected conferences. Now, if you look at the Pac-12, I think Washington State was like middle of the road. And if you talk about Mississippi State, obviously they're bottom of the barrel, their conference. I think Mississippi State houses a little more potential overall. But with the way the SEC is right now, there's no way he's bagging top 15 recruiting classes where he's at. Plus, with Lane Kiffin being at Ole Miss, I think Lane Kiffin demolishes him when it comes to recruiting. Chase, I have a serious question. I've been a recreational gambler for a while, and I'm ready to get serious. And how much you recommend your bankroll needs to be, and how much do you think the unit should be? Kenneth, there's really no set bankroll. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer for that. that's really on you, man. I mean, I've seen people start bankrolls and become very successful at this with me, with starting with as little as $1,000. I've seen people start with bankrolls of 50,000. If you wanted some magic number just to make you feel comfortable, when the losing days come, I would say you don't want to start with anything less than 1,000. And your unit's probably going to be about $50. If you've got the ability to go higher, then 5 to 10,000 would be a great starting point. That way you can build faster. It's not going to benefit you anymore as far as your units go. It's just going to allow you to build faster to where you can start making some really serious wagers. No, Lane doesn't suck as a coach. Lane's a great coach. Lane decided to make dumb decisions. He screwed Tennessee. He had it there. He had it made. Dude probably would have won a national championship. And his time at Southern Cal, I think, was shadowed by a lot of family issues and Sarkisian being there screwing shit up for him. But, I mean, he's one of the smartest offensive minds in the game. I mean, truth be told, if he wasn't Nick Saban wouldn't have hired him. I think the only place where it looked like he truly sucked was Oakland. But I don't think he was ready for what the NFL required. And he was also going to a shit franchise. You know, if he was going to go to the NFL and hope to have success, I think he needed to go and start with a team that actually had some talent on it that he could work with while building instead of coming in full rebuild mode. Because that's the only thing that I worry about with this Matt Rule thing is that he's coming in not necessarily having to full-blown rebuild, but there's so many questions up in the air. Quarterback, what's going to happen? I don't know if I see Luke Kuechly sticking around for a whole lot longer in the league, not just at Carolina. And so he's got a lot of work to do versus at Dallas, where you basically have the pieces in place to win now, maybe throw another piece or two into the mix, and now you're talking about a team that has Super Bowl talent. Yeah, Scott, I make a bunch of money betting Vegas. A bunch. Over the past 3 years that they've been in the league, I have made a lick off of Vegas. Last night, if you would have looked at the stats last night with 5 minutes to go in the second period before they hit, or 6 minutes, before they had ever scored their first goal, they had double the shots on goal almost, double the hits, double the takeaways. They were killing them in stats. You would have bet your life looking at just the stats without knowing the score, and would have bet your life that Vegas was leading that game by at least 2 goals, and they were down 4-0. Their goalie was atrocious last night. Offense picked it back up, scored a couple of goals, but the problem is by that point they get into the third period, they had nothing left in the tank. Vegas is the fastest paced team in all of hockey. If they do not score, then they run out of gas. What's up, Jerry? No, I didn't dislike Tampa last night. I'm being cautious with Tampa. As I've said many times, I said it before the season even started, I thought Tampa was the best team in hockey. They were my preseason prediction to win the Cup. I still hold true to that. They're finally playing like a Stanley Cup team, but they're playing at such a high level right now. I mean, we're talking a game where they scored 9 goals. Yesterday where they just hammer Arizona. There has to be regression, and it's going to come soon. But again, and I'm not saying that comes their next game. Obviously, it didn't come last night. But the problem with people betting hockey is that they see a team that's on a tear, and they're going to ride that team until the wheels absolutely collapse. I don't tend to do that. I will ride a team when it's time to ride them, and then when I think regression's coming, I'll back off before it gets there. And then when it comes, I'll be the first one to jump back on the wagon before anybody else does. I mean, you saw, I was all over Tampa for about 2 weeks, and then when they were playing at a high level and then kicked it up even a higher notch, then that's when I was like, okay, any day now regression has to come. They're going to have to, flatline. That's when I'm going to back off, because they're going to end up losing a game like that game last night, heavily favored against a team that they should be able to just wipe the ice with, and they're going to go out there and get taken for a ride. But it happens to everybody. Yep, Alex, did you watch the Liberty game? It was worse than you think. It was worse than you think. Here was the craziest part about that game. So I didn't turn it on until it was 2-3 minutes into the game, and I cut it on. Watched it till halftime. They were up by 10. That's fine. That's about where I expected them to be. Because what I want you guys to do, if you don't believe me, go back and watch any other game involving Liberty. Go back. I mean, any game this year. Any game. Go watch Liberty. They are not a team that tries to push the pace back and forth. And they never will be. They're a team that wants to burn clock, and they want to make you make mistakes. They want to go out there, take smart shots, get points, and then push you on defense and force you to just make dumb mistakes. And they're great at it. But yesterday, they're up by 10. We start the second half. I start watching it. They gave up a couple of stupid threes. But the thing is, one thing that they were doing that I did like was the fact that they were letting number 5 from North Alabama, they were letting him have the ball. You would think that they would want to guard him more than anything, because he was single-handedly keeping North Alabama in that game. Going into halftime, I think he had 14 points. But he was also committing fouls, because he was the only player on the floor doing anything. So Liberty was making a smart decision in letting him play, in hopes that he keeps getting fouls. He leaves the game with 7-8 minutes to go, and now North Alabama's dead in the water. So they keep doing that. But every time, once they hit about the 12-minute mark, they were up by 13. He had just drawn his 4th foul, so you knew he was going to be pulled for at least the next 3 minutes. Every time down the court, they were trying to make shots cross court, or trying to make passes cross court. Take it, throw it way over everybody's head, and throw it 80 feet across the floor. So I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They don't have no 6'7" guys out there. They can't catch this. I don't get it. And they kept doing it, turnover after turnover after turnover after turnover. And this is a team that doesn't commit turnovers. So I had somebody tell me last night, they were like, you suck. You don't know what you're doing. This team sucks. And I'm like, well, you've never watched this team because they did tonight the exact opposite of what they've done for the past 2 seasons. I cannot predict when they're going to go out there and play the opposite of what they play. No one can. So guess what? I had to take the loss last night. But what's funny is they kept doing it. They kept letting North Alabama hang around. And then with 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go, there's a 4-point lead? Liberty goes, oh shit, game's almost over. We better turn it on. And they turned it on and won by 11. It was sickening. It was disgusting. And what made me so mad about it was that the coach that absolutely rags this team when they make a mistake, when it's a dumb mistake, Jesus Christ, last night he wasn't doing nothing. Every mistake they made, turning the ball over, could have been prevented. It was their mistake. North Alabama had nothing to do with the turnover. They didn't touch the ball. They didn't press them. They didn't do anything. It was 100% Liberty's fault, and the coach was just sitting back going, okay. That'll irritate me till the end of time. But I'll tell you this. If Liberty was playing North Alabama again tonight, and Liberty was laying 20, guess who I'd be playing? Without hesitation, I'd be playing Liberty minus 20. Somebody told me that I was sent from Vegas to make people lose because I get a cut from the books. I said, really? I said, then why the hell do I win so much? I said, because obviously I said I wouldn't be making money. Their name was Sandra Bullock. It's their email name. They called me, they said, Chase, you are a shit. I just laughed. I'll tell you what I'm very happy with. I don't know if there's anybody in the business hitting underdogs like I'm hitting right now. What if we hit 12 out of our last 15 dog plays? Another 2 dog plays last night in the NBA. 2-0 NBA day, both of them underdogs, both of them easy outright winners. Until we lost the Vegas game in hockey last night, we had won St. Louis and Boston earlier in the evening. That put us at 9 straight, I think. It was either 9 straight or 10 straight. So we won either 9 out of the last 11 or 10 out of the last 12, one or the other. And that's all been in less than a week. That's been since Sunday night. Lou, what are you seeing that line at? What you got total at? I've got a thought on the side, but I haven't locked it in. But I need to dig farther into that total. I'm not on back you on the Senators. I think Detroit can pull it out tonight. I haven't broke it down yet. All I've done is look at the game. I've looked at the goaltenders. I haven't got a skate-around report yet, so I won't make a decision until then. I may very well not have an NHL play tonight. But at first glance, if I was required to make a bet off of first glance in that game, I got to back the Red Wings tonight. The Red Wings most certainly have more talent than Ottawa. Ottawa certainly, has played better than Detroit, but I got to believe, some nights Detroit turns it on, and they're hard to beat. 237.5, that's about normal. I'd love to get that at around 234. I don't know. I think that line's pretty accurate. I'll tell you this. What are you seeing on your book? What do you see in the line at that game? Is it still a pick 'em? I don't hate the Wizards tonight. I think the line is spot on in that game. I truly do. The Pacers are obviously just a slightly better team. I give them the defensive edge. Offensively, I think Chicago's a better team at home. But the thing is, the way I broke it down, the line's right. The line is correct. I see no edge, no value, so I doubt I'll have any action in that game. And guys, just so you know, not to put a damper on the mood, but I didn't do a free play video this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you why, and now you'll understand why. There's going to be a day, maybe two, that you don't see a video from me coming up in the next handful of days. So early this morning, when I got up, found out that my wife's grandmother had passed away. So it's something they had kind of been waiting on. They knew it was coming. They didn't know when, obviously. So it happened sometime in the very early morning hours this morning, I think around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So we found out about 5. So they, obviously she was, an old lady, good, had a good life. But, now the process comes where, funerals and doing all that. And so it was her dad's mom that passed away. And so it's a long story, but just like my family, she has issues on her side of the family. Some people are just pieces of shit, just the way it is. So even though, I'm just married into the family, I'm probably going to be a pallbearer at the funeral. I was asked by her dad if I would do so. I agreed. They live in South Carolina, so we're going to have to take the trip down there to do all this. I don't know what I have NHL at 10-6. That's way inaccurate, John. I mean, we had Sunday. I'm just going off of just since Sunday. After the Capitals loss, we had the Blackhawks that night, which won. Then we had to play the next day on the Columbus Blue Jackets. It was a win. Then we had the Dallas Stars and the Kings under win. Then we had Scott give me the next day. It was 2 or 3 winners in a row. Then we had the Dallas Stars on the puck line was one of those wins. And then last night we won the first 2 out of 4. Going into yesterday, we were at either 6 or 7 straight NHL winners. And that, that number since January the 2nd may be right, John. Don't take that the wrong way. I don't have my spreadsheet in front of me. I was just talking about just since Sunday night. Capitals 60. Oh, yep, that's right. Boom, we had that top play as well. But that wasn't all we had, though. We had the Caps money line, or the Caps regulation. We had the Caps puck line. And I thought we had something else that day. Hold on, I have to pull up my spreadsheet. Oh, hold on, I may have it right here. But, John, you may be right about that record from since January the 2nd. What the games that I was talking about was just since the Capitals loss on Sunday morning. Because since then, until last night's Vegas game, we had not lost a single NHL play. Which I'm not going to complain about the losses in NHL. NHL's, I'm even amazing myself with what the percentages are for this year. It's unreal the winning we've done in NHL for this season. So, bad days are going to happen. It is what it is. But anyway, so we've got to deal with that. Being that she just passed away early this morning, I would really doubt that anything would happen tomorrow. I don't know, so bear with me until I find out. Obviously, I'll find out as soon as arrangements are made. I know that they were doing that this afternoon. So I would say at the earliest, I would say Sunday. But even then, I don't. If I had to take a wild guess, I would say that like a receiving friend Sunday night or Monday, and then funeral the following day. That's what I would have to guess. But again, I could be wrong. I know that they live in Tatertown, and in that area of the world where everyone is a Clemson homer. So, and she was too. She was a 50-plus year, not only IPTE member, season ticket holder, and mega donor. So I can tell you this, she wouldn't want anybody missing Monday's game on her behalf. So I don't know. I don't know when it will be. I think it could be as early as Sunday. I think it could be as late as Tuesday. Either way, I'll let you know what days it's going to be. Obviously, I have to be there for, my wife, and then, probably to be a pallbearer. But on those days, I'm still going to have plays. So, if you're my client, you don't have to worry about that. I still got to work. Still got to make money. But on those days, there's, certainly not going to be a live show. And there's a good chance there probably won't be a free play video. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. I don't know. But I'll keep you guys informed. So on those days, I'll still give out a free play. It'll probably just be something quick on Twitter or something like that. So, and if anybody has sent me an email this morning, you're probably going to have my assistant respond to you until this evening. If you're not being ignored, I just with that going on this morning, and then getting my kids to school, and then having to break all these games down, I just haven't had time to check it. So I'm letting my assistant handle the emails. Once I get plays out, I'll go back and handle everything. But I'm not going to do that before I get plays done. So do not think by any means you're being ignored. You are not. And if she responds to you, if it's a basic question, then you can just talk to her. If not, if it's something that I have to answer, you will get responded to. It just may be a little bit later this afternoon. No, not mother-in-law. My wife's grandmother. If it was my mother-in-law, I wouldn't be on here right now. I would be, because my wife's an only child, so you can imagine how that's going to be. So, no, not that. Wife's grandmother. So anyway, it's just a waiting game now to see when all the stuff's going to happen. Like I said, it's not like this was extremely... no more free play videos. I don't know what that means. But anyway... So they were expecting it, I don't think they were expecting it yesterday, or today, but it's certainly, I don't, they weren't expecting her to be here a year from now. So anyway, that's what we got going on. That's why I did not do one this morning, and that's also why I'm doing, because I wasn't going to go live today. I was just going to do a free play video. And that's also why I'm doing it later than normal. So, let's do this. We got 41 people in here, only 30 likes. So, we need to get to 50 likes. And we'll do a free play. But in the meantime, I want to do a breakdown of the national championship game in the event that I cannot go live again between now and then. So let's do a breakdown, do initial thoughts. I'll tell you where my head's at. That's not saying that I'm going to give you a play that is for sure what I'm going to bet. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I'll bet the side of this game. I don't know that I'll bet the total of this game. Just because it's the national championship does not mean that we have to bet the game, guys. Do I want to? Yes, I do. Do I think we can find an edge? Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you where my head's at. And then, of course, I'll make my decision when the time comes. And I want you guys to be thinking about, being that we don't have a ton of time today, let's pick one of the NFL games and let's do a deep dive into that one. So what I'm going to do, hold on, guys. Let me I hate to do this to you, but I gotta make a quick 2-second phone call. It's involving what we were just talking about. So give me 2 minutes, guys. Where are we at? Who's in here? Scott or Danny, I don't care, whichever one, or Matt, I don't care. Just somebody run the chat. Let me make this phone call real quick, and then. But what I want while we do this, I want to get everybody's votes on which NFL game you want to do. Most votes, we'll deep dive into that game on top of the national championship game. And then by then, I mean, we're only 9 likes away. We should easily have over 50 likes. We'll do a free play, and then we'll call it a day. So do that, guys. I'm sorry, but I got to take this. I'm sorry. So one of you guys, Danny says, Scott, you're doing it. So, Scott, you're in. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Oh. All right, let's see what we missed. All right, we got to vote for 49ers game, Green Bay. Chiefs. Green Bay, 49ers, Chiefs, Texans. Blech. Green Bay, Seahawks, Niners. Chiefs. There's another Niners. Green Bay. It's pretty much even. All right, let's do the national championship game first. All right, so I know Danny's thoughts. Danny has said in here before. Now, for anybody new to the chat, Danny is a Clemson fan. So, as a Clemson fan, he is personally taking LSU. Or not, I'm not saying he's taking LSU. Right now, he is in favor of LSU minus the points as far as from a betting standpoint. So take that into consideration. Somebody from the fan base does not believe that they can top LSU. I've heard many of my regular guys that come in here talk about what they think about the game. So I'm going to give you just my initial thoughts. But what I want to do first is not everybody has to answer because I can't go back and read every single response. But if you are on one side or the other, if you are in favor of LSU minus the points, if you are in favor of Clemson plus the points, if you are in favor of, Clemson on the money line, the over-under, in one sentence, something quick, give me your reason why. What is your biggest deciding factor as to why you are on that side? So that reason I want to know that is everybody's mindset kind of the same, as far as all the people that are in favor of LSU, are they kind of thinking the same way? If you're on Clemson, are you kind of thinking the same way? And then I'm going to give you a few key points that I want you to look at. You can make your own decision based off of this, but I think that it's things that are being overlooked, and I think it's some of the most obvious things. Some of the most obvious things about this game and this matchup, I think, are being overlooked. Number one, I think they're being overlooked by the media for two reasons. Half the media doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. The half that do want you to think one way, which is very close-minded and not take into account what really, really matters. Okay. All right, so this is the most perfect example of the type of answer I want. Rivera 911 says Joe Burrow. That's his reason. Joe Burrow is the reason that he trusts LSU minus the points versus the opposition. All right, so we got one answer that says coach for Clemson knows how to beat an SEC team and he's going to try to find a way. All right, which coach are you referring to? And the reason I'm asking you that is because I'm either going to make an example out of what your answer is by what I just said, or I'm going to agree with you. Skip says that Trevor Lawrence is probably pissed that he was not named for Heisman. He might be. Do I think that he was a Heisman contender? No, I don't. I don't think Joe Burrow should have won the Heisman, to be honest with you. Scott says Chase the game was a pick'em before LSU beat a shit Oklahoma team. Take the points. Jerry Jones says I don't like how Clemson played Ohio State. I'm gonna have to back you on that one, Jerry. All right, I got to make an example out of you now. You said Dabo Swinney. Listen, that's what everybody wants you to think. You know why? Because Dabo Swinney always says, somebody can say, hey, Dabo, what'd you have for dinner last night? He goes, we beat the last 9 SEC teams. I mean, that's all he can talk about. Brent Venables is the reason they have beaten those SEC teams. Period. Not Dabo. Because if it was Dabo would be out there not getting pulled by the rest of his coaching staff saying, no more plays for you, Dabo. Brent Venables is the reason. But the media wants you to think that Dabo is, the SEC killer. You know why? Because Dabo thinks he's the SEC killer, but he's not. Venables is the SEC killer. All right, these are some points I want you to think about, guys. Let's do it per team. Let's look at the good things, I guess. Scott, I got to disagree with you there. They got one touchdown that they got absolutely taken from them. The one where they were in the end zone, lost control of the ball, I'll give them that. They should have had that one taken back. Yes, they should have. The targeting call, it was targeting. Here's what I'm going to say about targeting. Had that been any other game in the world and not a national championship, like who's going to go to the national championship game, it wouldn't have been called as targeting. Hell, it may have not even been roughing the passer. But it was targeting, so let's give them that. But the pass interference right after that was not pass interference. That's bullshit. And when the ball was fumbled and Ohio State ran it back and then had the touchdown pulled for them, it was a fumble. It was a touchdown. Even if you just give them that touchdown back, just that one, and let every other penalty and stupid mistake and everything happen and Clemson score everything they did, Ohio State still wins the game by 1 point. Ohio State should have won the game. They had it taken from them. Now, that's not saying that Clemson didn't give them a run. They absolutely did. It's because Clemson's a great team. But they didn't win that game. They were handed the win to that game. All right, let's look at each team. Let's look at the pros and the cons, if you will. Let's look at the things that, for each team, that are most certainly things that favor this team and definitely help them in situations like this. LSU, let's start with them. Their offense. Unstoppable, right? Unstoppable offense, unstoppable quarterback. The America's coach, if you will. And some of the best wide receiver action that I've seen in a long time. Sure, let's give them all that. But I don't know that all that's true, guys. Do I think Joe Burrow played great this year? Yes, I do. I think that Joe Burrow may have had a top 7 or 8 season that any college quarterback's ever had. I mean, the dude couldn't miss. They throw on first down 60-something% of the time, guys. They throw for long yardage like 49% out of those times. Teams just don't do that. All right, see, Scott. I have to hand it to Joe Burrow in the way he played this season, the way he led his team. It was nothing short of spectacular. But guys, be honest with me, be honest with yourselves. Until this year, y'all didn't even know who Joe Burrow was. Joe Burrow was nobody. And now everybody's saying, oh, look at dumb Ohio State for not letting him be a starter. I'm going to be honest with you. Put Joe Burrow in a Buckeyes uniform, let him be the starting quarterback and play this year. I don't think Joe Burrow has the season that he did with LSU. Because I think that defensively, the Big Ten was better than the SEC this year. It's rare that you can say that. It's rare that you can say that anybody, any conference is better as a whole than the SEC. But this year it was. Here's the thing, guys. Joe Burrow has proved himself one time. One time. So now everybody's talking about he's going to be the number 1 overall pick. That's probably going to be the case. That he's going to be the savior child for the NFL. We're looking at a future Hall of Famer. We're looking at a Super Bowl champion. And everybody's already said you're looking at the national champion. I'm going to be honest with you. If you told me right now that I was if I was the general manager of a team with a first overall pick in the draft and I had to choose between Lawrence and Burrow, which that's not the case. Lawrence is still going to come play next year. I mean, he doesn't have to play, but I believe that he will. But if I had to choose between Burrow and Lawrence going into the NFL, who I want, I'm sorry, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has proved for 2 years versus 1. He's won a national championship against Alabama. That's number 1. And he hasn't lost yet. Now, again, put an asterisk by that. Who have they really beaten besides Alabama? Okay, they've beaten Ohio State. But put an asterisk beside that because I don't believe they beat Ohio State. And during the regular season, yes, they don't play anybody. But it doesn't change the fact that you took a freshman quarterback in Division I football. He ran through a season, didn't lose. And he goes to a national championship, holds composure, makes smart decisions, and he wins. And he does it again this year. And Matt, you may be right. It may be Joe Burrow's year. Joe Burrow had a more impressive year than Trevor Lawrence. Let's get that out of the way. That's not up for debate. What Joe Burrow did this year is more impressive than any other single person in football this year. I mean, we'll get that out of the way. But again, put an asterisk by that. Let's let him go. Let's let Joe Burrow go to a team with, how do I want to word this? An above average offensive line. And maybe one less weapon downfield. Do you think anybody's going to be talking about Joe Burrow? No. He's not going to be a Heisman. He's probably not playing for a national championship. He's not a household name. The kid went from nobody transfer, nobody in the world knew who he was, to a household name and being compared to quite possibly the greatest college quarterback there ever was. I'm sorry. You played 1 year and proved something? Give me a break. You're not. Now, I'm saying he's not, but you got to prove a little bit more to me than 1 year. I don't care if you went all year through 100 touchdowns and not a single interception. You did it one time. And you also did it in what has been the most down year in the SEC over the past decade. And everybody talks about his win over Alabama, this and that and the other. No. Don't make me bring up this game. Because Alabama made mistake after mistake after mistake in the first half. Guess who didn't make mistakes? LSU. Well, then Mr. Saban, quite possibly the best college coach ever, not in my opinion. I think he's second best. But undoubtedly one of the best ever to do it. Goes into the locker room, jerks a knot in the ass of his players, and they come out in the second half and they steamroll LSU. But they could not outrun the mistakes of the first half, so LSU still won the game. But they did not obliterate Alabama. Had Alabama made 2 less mistakes in the first half, Alabama wins that game outright. And guess what? We'd be talking about Alabama and Clemson again. And that's just a fact. I think Joe Burrow is great. I like the kid. You're not going to convince me that he's the greatest college quarterback ever. You're not going to convince me that he's going to be a superstar in the NFL. You're not going to convince me anything until he does it. I don't know if any of y'all have caught on to the way I do things, but until you do it, I don't believe you're going to do it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. No way, Irie. I'll bet you $10,000 that don't happen. Burrow's going to be in Cincinnati. And even if Cincinnati does something stupid to give up that pick, he'd end up somewhere probably like Miami or Washington or something like that. They ain't going to Dallas. And yes, he has a very accurate arm. He has a very accurate arm. That's what I'm saying. This is not a is Joe Burrow good conversation. He's fantastic. But he's been fantastic for a year. Let me tell you something. You go to Ohio State. You do not get... I should word this without sounding dumb. You do not ride the bench because you're a superstar. I'm sorry. You just don't. Here's my thing. Do I think Joe Burrow was better than people were giving him credit for in his early career? Yeah. I think LSU had to take a chance. They didn't have anything else, so they do, and look what happens. Ed Orgeron's going, thank you, God, for letting this work. Ohio State's going, whatever. We still got an elite quarterback. And we think that you got outworked, outplayed, and out-skilled or else you would have been starting at Ohio State. Ohio State's not a program that wants to lose. And you got the talent to do it, they're going to put you on the field. Joe Burrow obviously didn't have the talent. Now he goes somewhere where he has weapons downfield like I've never seen before. Unless we're going to talk about Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, C.J. Spiller, going back to those days, where he could throw garbage into thin air and still look like a genius. But he's not. He's throwing accurately. He's doing very well. Now let's do the flip side here. This is the downfall of what LSU is. The SEC had a very down year. Nobody's wanting to talk about that. They're not wanting to talk about the fact that Alabama made mistakes, that Alabama was more riddled with injuries this year than in any year in the Saban era. They don't want to talk about the fact that Gus Malzahn was hanging on to his job by a thread because Auburn was not what they were supposed to be, that Dan Mullen was really the only coach within the SEC that did something good with what he had, that Will Muschamp had a top 10 recruiting class and has for the past 2 years and had more injuries than any other team in Division I football when it comes to your starting first-string offense. Nobody wants to talk about the fact that Arkansas might as well find another conference. Missouri shit the bed, and both teams from Mississippi were a joke, to say the very least. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about the obvious. They just want to talk about what Burrow did. That pisses me off. That's what also pisses me off about Clemson, when they want to talk about their wins, when their wins are against nobody. Their wins are against absolutely nobody. The SEC was down this year. He had the best protection of any quarterback in football as far as being protected. I don't think Joe Burrow's had one good hit this year. He's gotten hit. But go back and think of one time where Joe Burrow got rocked. I'm talking about rocked, where he stood up and said, hold on a second, I got to take a breather. Can any of you think of one time that he got that? Because I can't. Well, goddamn, if you're going to let me go out there and not get hit, I'm probably going to be better than average. You're going to give the man a day and a half to throw every pass, and nobody's going to hit him? Yeah. Okay, I'll take it. Advantage Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, the only downfall to what he's done is he hasn't faced adversity yet. He hasn't lost. I want to see what Lawrence can do when he goes out there against a team that's just downright better. Runs them up and down the field. Beats their ass, and then I want to see how he comes back from that. No, I didn't say it, Matt. I said Clemson's beat nobody. I said nobody wants to talk about the fact that LSU had that the SEC had a down year. Until a quarterback faces what quarterbacks have to face, which is getting hit and taking losses, you cannot say that they are elite. We have to see how they deal with it. Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not the biggest fan of him. But you're not gonna line the quarterbacks up in college football and tell me to choose one for my NFL team. I'm sorry, I'm taking Trevor Lawrence. Taking Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence hasn't lost a game. Let's credit him that. Again, they really haven't beat anybody. Let's put an asterisk by it. He hasn't had to take a loss and come back from adversity. So we got to put an asterisk by him there. But guess what he has done? He's gotten his dick run into the dirt every single game at least once. I mean, rocked. Absolutely obliterated. And what does he do? He gets up. He might be shook up. He might have to go to the sideline for a few minutes. But he comes back out and he plays like a stud. Check mark Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about defense. The downfall to Clemson's defense this year is the fact of who they lost to go to the draft. Okay? We can offset that by the fact that the best defensive coordinator in football is on their side, and his name is Brent Venables. Do I think that Brent Venables is the greatest defensive mind in football? No, because I think there's people with a lot more experience. But as far as somebody that's doing the job of a defensive coordinator, there is nobody better than Joe Burrow. Or Joe Burrow. I saw Joe Burrow. Somebody said something about Joe Burrow. It's Brent Venables. Danny, don't kid yourself. The NC game wasn't adversity. The Clemson should have beat them by 40 touchdowns. Mac Brown just outsmarted Mr. Debo. It was unlucky on one side and lucky on the other. I'm talking about adversity like we're a team that's better than them. I'm talking about like, let's say that they had to play Florida in the middle of the year. And Florida just came into Death Valley and absolutely ramrodded them. And they still bounced back and got to where they were. That's what I'm talking about. Not that a team that's not better than them had their coach, somebody that's been in the game for longer than we've all been alive, outsmart somebody who thinks that he's the smartest person on the field. Anyway, defensively, I'm sorry. Clemson has every advantage in the world, from coaching to their personnel that goes onto the field and preparation. You don't want to give Brent Venables 2 weeks to figure your offense out. But at the same time, I don't think that we're giving enough credit to Brady, who's now had enough time to figure out what Venables can do and how to overcome what Venables is going to bring to the game. It's no question what Venables is going to bring. It's not like he has some secret playbook. Everything that Venables does is expected. The problem is, you tell me why nobody can stop it. They know it's coming and they still can't stop it. That right there, that's impressive. Nobody's ever been able to stop him when it really matters. Here's what I think, guys. I think that Joe Burrow is overrated. I think that Lawrence is slightly underrated. I think that Clemson is sorely overrated in the credit that they get for things that just shouldn't matter. But as I said, going into the playoffs, Clemson's the best team in the country until somebody beats them. Ohio State beat them. But again, we've got to move on from that, because the score said otherwise. The score said otherwise, and Clemson's here, and Ohio State's not. And until that clock hits 0 and Clemson has less points than someone else, they are the best team in the country. They are the defending champions. Let's talk about football IQ for a second. I think Trevor Lawrence has a higher one than Joe Burrow. I think if Trevor Lawrence puts on 30 pounds of pure muscle and gets some NFL experience under him, I think we're looking at quite possibly the most successful quarterback to ever come out of that university going into the league. I had somebody tell me last night that if Trevor keeps going the way he's going, he might give Deshaun Watson a run for his money into who was the better quarterback at Clemson. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Trevor Lawrence had been there 15 minutes and was a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson. What Trevor Lawrence has done is already better than what Deshaun Watson did in 4 years. Period. I broke this game down 4 different ways, guys. The most accurate line that I can find would be LSU -2. Okay? And I'm giving them a point for where it's being played. Everybody's talking about, it'll be a home game for them because it's in New Orleans. I don't think it'll be a home game. Outside of that, outside of the dome, out in the parking lots, yes, it'll be a home game. But inside, do I think there'll be just as many Clemson fans as there are LSU? No, probably not. But it's not going to be some overwhelming lopsided majority where it's like, oh, you're trying to pick spots of orange out of the crowd. No way. I say 55-45. LSU way. That's the only reason LSU's favored. In my system. I think this game should be a pick 'em. If you look at just statistics, just numbers on paper, Clemson holds the edge. They hold the edge defensively. They hold the edge offensively. Just numbers on paper. There's an asterisk there, guys. And that's because Clemson has not battle-tested. They're not battle-tested. They haven't had to fight adversity over the last 2 years. They haven't lost. They've played nobodies. I'm sorry. They've played nobody. LSU, yes, SEC down year. But they played people. They played Alabama. They played A&M just like Clemson did. Arkansas sucks. I don't even want to use that as an example. But LSU, when we're talking about being battle-tested, we're most certainly going to give the edge to LSU. When we're talking about experience, people that are taking this field, and I'm not talking about coaches, I'm talking about players, that are taking this field on Monday night and know how big of a game this is and know what these pregame jitters are like, Clemson holds the edge. When we are talking about a mindset of what it takes to get through 60 minutes in a game like this for the leaders, and I'm going to call the leaders your head coach and your quarterback. I'm going to take Dabo Swinney out of the mix, or otherwise we'd have to give the edge to Ed Orgeron. I'm going to give it to Brent Venables and Trevor Lawrence instead of Ed and Joe. Because Brent Venables is the head coach. He doesn't hold the title or get the paycheck, but he is. Statistically, numbers on paper, guys, Clemson is the better team. They hold the edge, and they should be favored in this game. When you talk about a team that's battle-tested coming into this game, has proven more to the world this year to say that they are deserving of this spot, LSU holds an overwhelming advantage for who they've beaten, the way they've beat them, and how they have looked as though they cannot be matched by anyone at any time. Who's the better team, guys? It's a pick 'em. LSU, I believe, is the better team right now. I think the smarter team is going to be wearing orange. I'm sorry. I hate saying it more than anybody in the world because I swear to God I despise that university, its fan base, and that godforsaken coach more than anything in life. But I don't ignore facts. If I had to pick this game right here and right now, I'd take LSU if it were a pick 'em. I still think that LSU, this is their year. I do think that LSU is going to come out firing on all cylinders, and I think they're going to win the game. This line should not be 5. If right now, and again, this is not me telling you to place this bet. because I won't be placing my bet right now. But if I'm going to get 6 points, I'm taking the Clemson Tigers. Because LSU is not 6 points better than them. They might be Monday. But let me tell you what's going to happen. The only way LSU can win this game is to get out in front and get out in front early. Because Venables is going to figure you out. But I'll tell you this. As good as Lawrence is, as good as Venables is, as good as the team is, you let LSU come out fast and get out to an early lead, you're not catching them and they're not losing. Period. Period. Going into Monday night, I think LSU is the better team for what we've seen recently. But on paper, statistics, longevity, and just sheer facts, Clemson's the best team in the country that we've got left. It's going to come down to the first quarter, guys. Who's going to get out in front? Who's going to make it? Who's going to make the crowd be in awe in the first 15 minutes? And if that's LSU, Clemson better just buckle up and get ready to take a loss. If LSU makes one stupid mistake in that first half, I'm talking something that comes in a pick six, something that takes them out of maybe a touchdown that ties them up. Buckle up. Clemson's taking home the trophy again. Irie, Jesus Christ, I did not say that. I said if I had to bet it right now, that's what I would do. I'm not taking it right now. I'm giving you the facts about the game and the teams. Bingo. Matt, you just hit it nail on the head. If LSU gets to a start like Ohio State did against Clemson, they won't blow it. Bingo. If LSU gets out to a 2-touchdown lead early, it's over. It is over. Because they will be able to continue to score at some extent. They will not be caught. Guys, I never, ever release prop bets, first halves, first quarters, anything like that. But I've broke this game down every way that I can. And for the first time ever, my play on the national championship might be a first half play. And that might be the only thing that I bet. Total. If we're going to talk about totals, I'm going to take the under. It's too obvious to take the over. I don't think Clemson's offense is as high-flying and dominating as it has been the past 2 years, and that's not Lawrence's fault. That's the fact that I don't think people are reading Lawrence as good, and that offensive line is not as good either. LSU is going to be able to score, but they also are going to be playing a defense that has had 14 days or 2 weeks to prepare for them by the best defensive coordinator in football. So guess what? LSU is not putting up 70 points on this team. All right. What did we decide on the... I feel like I just kind of ran you guys in circles with that game, and I'm sorry. But I just want you guys to think about all those things. Because everything that I mentioned, when we talk about an offense or a defense, is something that you're hearing on TV. Problem is, I'm opening your eyes to the facts about what you're hearing. Like, oh, Joe Burrow is so accurate. He's done amazing things. Okay? Don't credit Joe Burrow to that 100%. His arm is very accurate and very strong. But credit to the fact that he has 1,000 years to throw it, and he has weapons downfield that could throw it even if it wasn't accurate. Okay? I don't think that Venables is going to be attacking Joe Burrow in this game. I think they're going to be doubling up on their receivers, and they are going to try to push that offensive line out of rhythm. And if they can do that, then it's going to be up to Joe Burrow to do it all himself, and he hasn't proven that he can do that. Not saying that he can't. He hasn't proven that he can. Guess what Lawrence has done? Lawrence has proven that when nobody's available, he can make the plays. Because he's done so more than any other quarterback in the game other than Justin Fields. The media, just by things they show, have made the world think that the game's already over and that LSU has won it. And that it's been a score of, a total score of 100-plus points. The media has already made you think that. I'm going to ask one person this, and this is because I know that I'm going to get an unbiased opinion about it. Danny, you've been saying LSU for 2-3 weeks now, okay? You have not wavered once against that. You've never once come back and said, oh, I think Clemson can do it. You have stood strong to your prediction that LSU is the better team, that LSU is going to beat Clemson. Clemson's a great team, but they do not have a shot to beat LSU and Burrow. You've been saying it for 3 weeks. You've stood strong to it. Every point that I pointed out about someone isn't news to any of you. But the things that I made you think about dissecting those particular things, Danny, don't lie to me. I want your honest answer. Is it not making you think Clemson just a little bit and doing it with facts instead of just gut feeling? And now you're thinking, you know what? They've got a better shot to win this game than I thought. Again, I hope LSU wins. God forbid Clemson win another national championship. But guys, I'm not here to tell you who I want to win. I'm here to give you facts. You can bet this game however you want. But I can tell you this, every single statement that I just brought up, you will see the proof of everything that I just said come to light in this game. Yes, Ira, that is correct. The Tigers win. I'll give you another thing that's correct. The team from Death Valley will win. That's the thing, though, Danny. I don't think they're going to try to. Now, maybe they do. Maybe they do. I think that if Venables goes out there with a game plan of we've got to get to Burrow, that they're going to carve them up and it's going to be over by halftime. But I think that if Venables goes in with the game plan of saying, okay, let Burrow do what he does. We've got to make sure that he doesn't have something downfield to go to. Then Clemson's in it the whole game. Then it's going to come down to how much do we let Burrow have with his legs? I'm sorry. Burrow's not beating Clemson with his legs. He's not. He hasn't beat anybody with his legs. He damn sure ain't going to do it to that team. Tommy, that's a game that I really want to bet on tonight just because of how intriguing a matchup it is. I'm going to watch it as a fan. I have no money on it at this point. I broke it down. I had the line at Dallas minus 1.5. I think Dallas is favored by 2 right now. If we could get a money line pretty low, like under 130, I'd say it might be worth some fun money to take Dallas at home without the Lakers having Davis. But it's still too evenly matched in my opinion because this game's going to come down to the two superstars. It's going to come down to Doncic and LeBron, those two guys, and that's what it's going to be. So I think the line's accurate. Like I said, if I played anything, I'd try to get a low money line and take Dallas outright because they're at home. Anthony Davis shouldn't be playing. I don't think Anthony Davis will play for a couple of weeks. He's got that bruised tailbone. I mean, not like it's detrimental to him, but I don't know if any of you have ever bruised your ass bone. That shit hurts. So he's going to be in a lot of pain for a couple of weeks. All right, let's do this, guys, because I've still got some work to do. Let me see what free play I want to give you. Yep, I don't even think they have to slow him, Danny. I just think they have to give him less options. Because the thing is, Burrow hasn't proven that he can do it by himself. Everybody in the media tells you, look what Burrow did. Look what Burrow did. Nobody around Burrow's getting the credit. It's just like, Danny, you can attest to this. Let's take in Deshaun Watson and Taj Boyd. Yes, did Spiller and Watkins and Hopkins and Ellington and all those guys throughout the years, did they get credit for stuff? Yes, but not near like the quarterback did. Deshaun Watson threw more interceptions than any other D1 BCS quarterback the year that he not only won a national championship, but the year that he was a Heisman contender. I'm sorry. You threw more interceptions than basically anybody in the league. Guess what that means? That without those receivers, you're garbage. You are garbage. But because of what you got downfield, you're, heaven in football pads. Colton, I think Iowa wins outright. Joe Burrow has not proven that he can do it all by himself. It's what did Burrow do? What did Burrow do? When 80% of the time, all Burrow did was release the ball. Someone else made the athletic grab. Someone else shook him at the 10-yard line to get into the end zone. Someone else blocked for Burrow to give him an extra 5 seconds. Again, they do it for Trevor Lawrence too, but go back and look this year at how many times the quarterback has had to make a play by themselves with nobody else. And I guarantee you that Trevor Lawrence is going to be up here and you won't even see Joe Burrow down here because he hasn't had to. Trevor has to do it at least a few times a game. So if Venables gives him less options and forces Burrow to do it himself, maybe he does do it himself. And if he's able to, then okay, we say that Joe Burrow may be outstanding and a future Hall of Famer. But that's a chance that Venables will have to take. He hasn't proven he can do it yet. You think that the national championship games where you want to prove yourself? No. If it comes down to LSU doing the same thing and Trevor Lawrence has to do it himself, he's proven he can do it. Not in a national championship game. But there were times last year where Trevor Lawrence had to keep drives going or else they were not going to win. How many times did he do it last year? Over and over and over and over and over again. And that's why they beat the fucking brakes off of Alabama. Skip, you're missing completely what I'm saying. Yeah, no. You're missing what I'm saying. I didn't say he doesn't make plays. I didn't say he doesn't run for first downs. Hell, everybody runs for first downs. These amazing plays that he makes with his arm are only being accredited to him. Well, time hasn't proven it yet, Jim. Hadn't proven it yet. And maybe he is. I hope he's better. You're missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he doesn't make plays. I'm not saying he doesn't run for first down. I'm not saying that he doesn't release the ball faster than most. And that's actually not true. In the in top tier teams, let's talk about top 10 teams, he does not release the ball faster than everybody else. He does not. He could have sat there and had a tea party compared to what Tua Tagovailoa did. I mean, he's had one good season, guys. One. And if you look at all the plays that he makes that are like game winners, that are games that were like, this is why he's the greatest. The people around him helping him those plays get made don't get the credit they should. Because without them, the play doesn't happen. And go look, there are times where Burrow slips up and gets out of it because of his people. Oh, Jim, I am a Clemson hater. I hate them. Hate them. I wish that, I'm going to say something that I may end up regretting, but I truly wholeheartedly believe this. I wish nothing more than that I would turn on the TV and find out that Dabo Swinney and Perry Noble, his preacher buddy that got busted for, whacking off to porn on the church computers that do their baptisms at practice, would finally get caught because a player would come forward and say that they were doing some Jerry Sandusky type shit and having players tickle their butthole. That's what I want. I absolutely hate that team, that fan base, and that godforsaken moron of a head coach. But I'm not going to deny the fact that Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback I've ever seen come out of there. And that he's proven time and time and time again that he is a stud quarterback. Joe Burrow's been a stud this year. He has been a stud, but he's done it 1 year. And he's done it in a conference that was 50% of what they usually are. Now, granted, Trevor Lawrence is in a conference that is never good. But again, guys, he has proven time and time and time and time again that he is a difference maker. Joe Burrow has been a difference maker at times. He's not proven that he is the difference maker. And he won't get to prove that at LSU. Not 1 year. We'll have to see what he can do in the NFL. I like Joe Burrow. I hope he does well. I hope that he goes out there and absolutely shines. But I'm not going to believe it till I see it because he has not proven anything to me yet other than the fact that somebody took a chance on him, and by God, he's made the most of it. I do not think that LSU is a better team than Alabama. That was proven in the second half of that game, that when Alabama quit making mistakes, that LSU had no answer for them. I also truly, wholeheartedly believe that there were multiple times this year that had it not been for the weapons that he has, that he would have had no answers. Bingo. That's what I'm trying to say, Skip. I'm not saying that he doesn't do it. This is what Skip just said, guys. He said, I agree with you that him and LSU are overhyped. That was one point I was trying to make and have said. And that the wide receivers are the ones making the plays. But again, that is the point that I'm trying to make. It's not saying that Joe Burrow's not doing a good job. But he's not doing it all. Hell, he's not even doing 50% of it. And then not to mention that LSU has the best O-line in college football. Bingo. The kid has all the time in the world and has all the confidence in the world. What I want to see from him is I want to see him go out there and get rocked over and over and over. And then stand up and still be able to focus and do his job. Trevor Lawrence has proven he can do that. Joe Burrow has not. I can't think of one time Joe Burrow this year has been hit that had to make him go just clear his head for a minute.
Trevor Lawrence had to do it multiple times in the Ohio State game alone. He had to do it in the game involving Texas A&M. It was A&M this year? I know he got rocked one good time at North Carolina. He got rocked one good time during the South Carolina game, maybe twice. But, I mean, either way, every game he has proven that unless he's physically injured, he can do it. He's proven that he has it up here. Joe Burrow hasn't proven he has it up here yet. He's got it in his arm, and he's got the people around him. But when he leaves this year and goes to another team and he has to relearn something completely, and he's going to get rocked in the NFL. I mean, look at it. No matter how good you are, you can be Tom fucking Brady. You're still going to get rocked. It's what you do after you get rocked. And again, Danny, I think you're right. I think that with that, I think this is LSU's year. I think that based on what we've seen over the past 12 to 13 games, that this is LSU's year and they've got everything riding for them. But I'm telling you right now, if they do not come prepared, I can promise you the team standing on the other side of the field, they will be. All right, let's do a play, guys. All right, so we were talking about the Dallas Mavericks game. Somebody asked about that. I don't know that I'm going to have an NHL play tonight. I may be laying off of the NHL tonight. Going down and doing an initial breakdown of this college basketball card, there's really not a ton of value. There's not a ton of value. These teams are a lot closer than what may meet the eye. And I think there's some inflated spreads out here. Truth be told, I was looking at one. Where was it? You know what? I'm going with this one. I like Iowa outright over Maryland. Do I think Maryland's a better team? Yes, I do. I think they're more talented. I think they're more well-rounded after Iowa's been dealing with some injuries. And I told you guys from the very beginning, I think Maryland is a team that could make a run in the tournament. I do think they are a true top 15 team. Right now, they're a top 10 team. They're even ranked number 8 in my system. But Maryland is primed and ready for a big upset. And I'm telling you right now, Iowa is the team that matches up to them in the paint. And they also match up with them as far as overall defense back and forth speed-wise. I think that we have a home dog here that's live. You're going to see a packed house. And should Maryland win this game? Yes. If you just do it on paper based on what's happened over the past, let's say, 4 games for each team, Maryland should go in on the road, win the game by 8 to 10 points. I'm telling you right now that if Iowa comes out there, they're going to have their game plan, and they're not going to have they cannot defer from that, no matter if they hit little bumps during this game. I think that they can overpower them underneath inside the paint at home. And I really, truly believe that they can run with them defensively. They're going to have to let Maryland take some outside shots because Maryland's going to eat that perimeter alive. The thing is, Maryland goes cold from outside just like anybody will. If they can put just enough pressure on them to force them to go outside the majority of the game, I don't see Maryland being able to beat them from the three-point line. Maryland's going to have to be able to drive inside. They're going to have to overpower them in the paint, and they're going to have to get those rebounds on offense and get those second-chance shots. I believe size, speed, and overall game plan, Iowa can hold the advantage there. And if they execute that game plan, I see this home dog taking an outright win over Maryland tonight. I'll take Iowa +2. As your free play. I think it'll be a slow pace, Irie, but like I just said, I think that Maryland's going to be forced to go outside. And if they get hot from outside, we're going to see a lot of points. All right. That's it. That's all I got. What time is it? Damn, we've run for almost 2 hours. All right, I got to get these games out, guys. Like I said, if any of you have sent me emails, I will get back to them as soon as I get plays out. It's just been one of those days. I will let you know the funeral arrangements and everything, so you'll know which day I will not be going live or having a free play video. If you are a client of mine, you will still get plays, but you will not see me on video for a day or so once that time comes. If you are not on a package, jump on. 3 days, $50. 7 days, $99. It's going to be a big weekend. There's a ton of great action for tomorrow that I'm in love with. I got Mr. Jerry Valdez hitting me up right now, so I got to talk to him. But we'll see, guys. I got to start working on tomorrow's card early tonight because of how many good games there are. So let me get today's card done. Start working on tomorrow's, and we'll get it out early so everybody can go hammer some Saturday action. Thanks, Keith. I appreciate you. See you, peeps.